With that, I want to bring in CBS News' Cristina Corujo, one of our producers and digital journalists in D.C. Cristina, I know that you were just in Puerto Rico until yesterday through Hurricane Fiona, and I wanted to invite you to have a discussion about, President Biden has committed more than $60 million in federal funds to Puerto Rico. I think it's important to note, where this funding is coming from. And just from this talk that we just heard from the president and from our Puerto Rican governor, Pedro Pierluisi, did any of this funding surprise you? Is there anything that we didn't know before? And what do you hope it'll all achieve?
So, Lilia, what I can tell you is that obviously this funding is part of that recovery process that is ongoing right now. But to be honest, and this is something that we did hear from the FEMA administrator while they were traveling to Puerto Rico, that FEMA is still making the assessments on the ground of the damages. So the final number of the amount of damages that happened due to Fiona is still a question mark. We have to wait for that number to then know how much funds are we going to get, or how much funds are Puerto Ricans are gonna get because of this emergency. So definitely the big question mark is that, because yes, the $60 million will be for creating a new flooding system warning due to the amount of water that Puerto Rico saw due to Fiona. But there is a bigger question here, and it's how will they be able to get more money to be able to rebuild in a way that is stronger and is just not rebuilding in patches.
One of the things I think that people always ask me is how come it took so long? How come it has taken so long? And I know that you've been doing reporting on where have the Maria funds gone to, why it's so hard to disperse these funds in a way that Puerto Rico would already be able to really recover the power grid and the power infrastructure. Can you just walk me through first of all, where the recovery efforts stand now? We hear the governor saying 93% of people have power, but I mean, you and I both know that a lot of our friends, family members, and perhaps you endured that when you were in Puerto Rico this entire last couple of weeks, that power comes and goes. So that's a tricky number. Where do we stand? And, why is it that 5 years later, things were so brittle, if you will?
Yeah, Lilia, definitely. I think the main issue here is that it's been 5 years and Puerto Ricans are still facing power outages, even before Fiona. So this is a struggle that they've been facing even before Maria. So we're talking about an electric system that has been having issues for decades now. So obviously when they got hit by Maria, then they got hit by the earthquakes, and now Fiona is just, a moment of what people call a perfect storm. Now, regarding the amount of money that has been allocated, we've heard that, $9.5 billion have been allocated to rebuild the electric grid. But from those $9.5 billion, only about $1.6 billion have been dispersed. And this is what, the big issue here. And what we've heard from local officials and Congress members is that this process has been really, really slow. And I've even been told by sources that this process is very bureaucratic, and that has made the process even worse and even slower, than leading to what Puerto Rico has now, a very unstable grid.
And I mean, I think the biggest source of frustration, right, is that the power system was privatized, that Luma Energy took over. And since Luma took over, the outages have only worsened. And so what can people expect is a big question. Despite all of the money that the president is announcing, that the governor is receiving, that, we are hearing the president's praise for Congresswoman Nidia Velázquez and the priorities that exist among these Puerto Rican representatives in Congress who do not represent the island because we, don't have a voting representative. The president talked about generosity, returning generosity. And this is one thing that to me is really interesting, because there's this notion that the federal government is helping helping Puerto Ricans, that Puerto Rico, as the president said, deserves every bit of help your country, meaning the U.S., can provide. But the reality is that Puerto Ricans don't hold power over their own fate so long as they remain in the island. The fact that Puerto Ricans don't, vote for the officials and the representatives in Congress, but also, that's not to say that, as a lot of people would think, that Puerto Ricans would necessarily want to become a state. So let's talk about, the way that Puerto Ricans have felt marginalized and that level of responsibility that Congress has, not just in helping Puerto Rico, but in creating the conditions for Puerto Rico to have these inequitable conditions. Can you just talk to me a little bit about, what both of us have been reporting on, and something that, taking advantage that both you and I grew up there, what people don't understand about the conditions that Puerto Rico faces that are the responsibility of Congress?
Yeah, Lilia, I think you nailed it. One of the main issues here is that obviously because Puerto Ricans have no way of demonstrating or being able to cast a ballot, there's no way that they can actually, vote unless they move to one of the 50 states. And, that's also an issue because they felt marginalized because sometimes these visits could be seen as political stunts, and I've even heard.
Not to mention the props that were used today with those wire coils, and last time it was the paper towel rolls.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it's used as a political stunt, and I think right now the Puerto Rican people are frustrated because of that. Because obviously there's a midterm election coming, and there is a lot of political narrative
now we
happening.
become popular.
Exactly. So it's a frustration among Puerto Ricans that sometimes they are used as a political stunt.
Well, Cristina Corujo, thank you so much for your insights, and thank you for continuing to cover Puerto Rico to understand more about, all of these issues and the conditions that have been created, pretty much by Congress and over the years and over the history of Puerto Rico. I would love to push you to watch our streaming documentary, Fighting for Paradise, The Future of Puerto Rico.